Hello, this is Emma Curver doing my video response for the Module 4 discussion. This is for Chapter 9, Business Writing in Action. The first of the two questions that I chose to respond to was question 2, which goes over Virginia Shea's rules of etiquette for online communication, choosing 2 of those rules and discussing how they impact business communication and using personal examples to support it. Virginia Shea's rules of netiquette are just general rules for the establishment and maintenance of kind and professional business communication over text, email, any form of internet communication. The first rule that I chose to focus on was respecting others' time and bandwidth. The ability to send and receive information instantaneously can be a really positive thing. There are a lot of benefits that we get out of that. We can update clients and answer their questions on things immediately. We can connect with colleagues on projects, on changes that need to be made on projects instantaneously. We can follow up with other lines of business pretty immediately, when in the past that might have required us to get everyone together for a meeting and, plan it around calendars and do all these things, where now it's a few clicks away. So there are a lot of positives, but there are a lot of negatives where with this ease of access, I have seen that there is a lack of respect for other people's time and bandwidth. There's this expectation sometimes that just because someone can be instantly available means that they should always be instantly available. A good example from my professional/personal life is with my work and with my friends and family. At my work, we are not permitted to have our smartphones on our person anywhere on camera, which is most of my work except for the break room, because we have access to sensitive client information, and any type of smart device with a camera or any recording information, we are just not allowed to have it on us. I've had to set expectations with family members that I cannot respond to them immediately, because people will message me or try to call me about just something quick or something that should take a few minutes to reply to, and they don't really understand why I can't do that. And so that's the professional boundary I've had to set with them and say, hey, this is just part of my work, and my work would be impacted if I was constantly either breaking that rule and keeping my phone on me, or, disappearing to go respond and check on people constantly. So now they kind of know that they have to wait until my lunch break for me to respond to them about stuff, unless it's an emergency, and then they can call the office. And then the second rule that I wanted to go over was to remember the human being on the other side of the communication. With emails especially, it can be really easy to just get straight to the point and be really direct and clinical, because you're not seeing someone's face or hearing their voice. It's hard to remember that they're a person sometimes, and you're not just dispersing information to the void. Some of those personal touches and kind introductions, the virtual small talk, can really go a long way in making you seem more personable over an email. But there is also, with email and text and how instantaneous it is, there is a risk that people might respond quickly out of a place of emotion in some circumstances, which is something you largely don't want to do. An example that I used in my RRP, but I will also use here, is a communication that I had with a colleague at work. I received an email from someone in IT that I had never met and didn't know, that was very, very rude and sarcastic, and I guess I had mistakenly submitted a new ticket for a technical issue instead of reopening an existing web ticket for that same technical issue, and that wasn't what I was supposed to do. And they sent me an email that was very, kind of flying off the handle about that. And in that moment, I didn't really know how to address that. So what I ended up doing was replying to the email very politely, addressing all of the base questions that they were asking and the information that they needed. And I just chose to see them as a person and think, assume best intent, and just left all of the sarcastic stuff they said out of it and didn't address that. And I CC'd my manager on the chain so they could see what was going on. My manager ended up reaching out to that employee's manager, and they resolved it, and that person ended up apologizing to me. Turns out they were stretched very, very thin. Their department had a lot of people out on unexpected leave. There were a lot of issues going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about. And while that behavior is not acceptable, if I had not assumed best intent or tried my best to see the person behind the response, and if I had responded rudely and in kind, that situation could have escalated for both of us and, not stopped at the relatively positive place that it stopped at. And then the second question that I chose to respond to was question 7, which was in business communication, understanding the audience is crucial, adapting your writing style depending on who is receiving it, and reflecting on a time when we've had to adjust our communication style to a diverse or international audience. I've talked about it quite a bit before, but a lot of the clients that I work with speak limited or no English. So one of the ways that we are able to adjust our written communication for them is through flyers. We have a couple different types that are one's called a PCH, which is a printable customer handout, and one is called a CMT, or client marketing tool. They're flyers that go over either a specific product or service that we offer in depth, or requirements for certain situations. Like one of them is, for certain things, we have to have a proof of residency, and so it goes over which documents qualify as a legitimate proof of residency. But to tailor them to different clientele, we have all of them available in English, Spanish, and Mandarin, and a select amount in other languages. When I'm meeting in person with clients who speak other languages, of course, I always have the phone translator, but sometimes to tailor it specifically to those clients, I'll print out one of those flyers in English for myself to kind of walk through it with them, and one in, Mandarin for them, and walk them through it line by line and show them exactly what I'm talking about, and give them that reference material, which helps kind of convey my point a little better. It helps them have a tangible thing that they can reference back to later if they have questions. And then it also pre-prints my contact information on the bottom so that if they do need to get a hold of me or someone else in my office, they can do that. And so that's one of the ways that we tailor our written communication to a diverse audience. Thank you.